Hi friends, good morning. In this video, let's be discussed about payment market practice guidelines for hybrid address. The scope of the guidelines it should be covered for CBPR plus as well as a HVPS payment. Before going to this topic, I have provided the payment business analyst training for student and working professional. In case you would like to join the course, please approach for me tamilbusinesstechnews@gmail.com. What are the content available in my PPT? What is structured address? What is unstructured address? What is hybrid address? Why unstructured address need to be converted as a hybrid address? How the migration it should be happen, mapping schemas. These are all the information available in this document. First, we will go for that. What is structure address? Structure address is a standard format of debtor and creditor address. All the information should be aligned for the respective tags. So that reason, it should be reducing for the errors and the data efficiency also improved. It should be avoid for the lot of unambiguity problem of data qualifier. More structure and granular debtor and creditor address is required for the ISO 222 message format because it should be improved for the screening monitoring and higher automation should be happen and processing the payments speed also increased. So the reason ISO 222 migration it's expert for structure address format. What are the problem it should be avoid whenever if user use for the structure address? Financial crime and complaints it should be reduced because it should be improved for the AML monitoring as well as a transaction screening process. Payment processing it should be improved because the creditor and debtor they maintain the address is correct format. So the payment it should be flow for the debtor to creditor very easily. They never ever happen for any screening validation fail or AML validation fail, and it should be improved for the payment processing. It should be avoid for the operation risk as well as a manual intervention. Client reporting. Whenever if you download the reporting part, you can able to see the debtor and the creditor exact address. So it should be more useful for the client side. Improved interoperability because it should be more useful for the MT to MX migration because lot of unstructured data it's aligned with the structured data. Many tags should be introduced and town name, city name, building name, and the entire customer information it should be maintained proper way. Why hybrid address is required? After November 2026, unstructured address is de-scoped. So that reason we need to change all the unstructured address as a structured address. But at present situation, changing the unstructured address to structured address it's too difficulty because many of the corporate or financial institution they never ever maintain for entire customer address fields, name, building number, street name, town name, city, region, like that. So first unstructured address it's convert as a hybrid address. After the hybrid address it should be convert as a structured address. So that reason PMPG guidelines it should be raise the CR for hybrid address format. Hybrid address it should be scope for November 2025 to still end. See, we will compare for the structure address, unstructured address, and hybrid address for the various parameters. Criteria. Definition. Structure address is a structure format because each and every value should be aligned for the respective tag like that name, street, building number, city, postal code, and country. Unstructured address. It's full and full. It's used for the unstructured format. They are using for the address line 1, address line 2, and address line 3. Hybrid address. It's a mix of tag as well as a address line. PMPG recommendation. Strongly PMPG recommend for that structure address format because it should be very useful for that AML processing, transaction screening, and payment. It should be flow very fast. It should be avoid lot of unambiguity in data qualifier itself. Unstructured address it's not recommended because the address lines are maintained. You cannot able to find out any specific information for that unstructured address format because the data is not properly maintained in tag wise. Hybrid address it's a combine of unstructured address as well as a structured address because it should be agree for the address line as well as a individual respective tag also. Mission reliability. Structure address is a high readable format because each and every values align with the respective tag. Street, building number, city, postal code, country, like that. Unstructured address, it's not a machine readable format. It's highly complicated to machine readable format because each and every customer, creditor and debtor information maintained in the address line wise. Hybrid address, it's a mixture of structure as well as a hybrid address format. Either it should be maintained as an address line also and individual tag also it should be maintained. Complaints and transaction screening efficiency. As per the PMPG guidelines, structure address screening process is too good because each and every customer address detail maintained in the separate tag. Unstructured address, it's too difficulty for the transaction screening and complaints monitoring because the details are not maintained for the respective tag. It should be maintained for the address line wise. Hybrid address, it's a medium complaints and screening process because it should be maintained for the structure as well as the unstructured format. Operation risk. Unstructured format operation risk is a too high because it's it's involve more human intervention. Structure format, it's a low operation risk because it should be reduced for the manual intervention. And hybrid address, it's moderate but still we need to some improvement in the hybrid address. Interoperability MT to MX, it's fully convertible structure address ISO 222 format because each and every tag they mention as a respective customer address details, and it's more structure also. Arrowing for the 14 tag it's used for the structure address format. Unstructured address format, it's a poor compatibility because multiple address lines should be used. You cannot able to find out for the exact elements. And hybrid address, it's partially compatibility traditional approach but it should be convert as a structure address in future. Data quality and standardization. Structure address is a high standardization format and unstructured address is a low standardized format and hybrid address is a medium standardized format. And shift fields, unstructured address you can able to see that 15k and 59 fields, but structure address you can able to find out for the 15f and 59f fields. Just see that below example. First one, as I mentioned, as a unstructured address format. See that 15k Ragul Verma 24 bar 7 MG Road, Bangalore, Karnataka 56001 India. But if you go to the standard structure address format, field 15F, first one it should be talk about for the account number of the particular customer. After it's come as a Arun Kumar name and address line 2 and country. So unstructured address, it's a very ambiguity format because you cannot able to find out for the street name, building name and address format as well as a city or country like that. But if you go with a hybrid address, you can able to find out for the country, town and the postal code as well as your address line also. See this field 15k is a unstructured format because it should be very legacy format. 15F is a structured format that should be prepared for the hybrid address format. 59 is an unstructured format, and after November 2026, all the address need to be migrate as a hybrid address format or structured address format. See this example, this is for the hybrid address format. Town name and the country name both are mandatory in the hybrid address format. Remaining things it should be appear in the address line. See creditor name John Smith, postal code, town name, city and address line. Because hybrid address also it should be agree for the address line, but town name and country name defined in the separate tag. Timeline for address guidelines. All the unstructured address need to be descoped for before November 2026. After, all the address need to be either convert as a hybrid address or structure address. As of now, PMPG guidelines they introduced for the new CR hybrid address that should be born for November 2025, no end date. And the structure address it should be used for no end date. Before November 2025, hybrid address changes need to be applicable appointment for before November 2025 hybrid address changes it's apply for the Fedwire transaction. But as per the ISO 222 guidelines, as per the PMPG guidelines, it should be born for November 2025 only. But before itself, they Fedwire, they implement for the particular changes. See this time period graph. Fully structured address. It should be used for no end date. Fully unstructured address. You can able to use only for the 2026 November. After you cannot able to use for fully unstructured address. Hybrid address, it should be bound for November 2025. You can able to use for no end date. Background of structure address. See, this is the structure address format. Totally the 14 attributes is there. Okay. Take down the example, city name, postal code, town, and country name. Each and every details it should be reflecting under respective tags. See, this is the fully unstructured address. Vinod Kumar, address line 1, address line 2, address line 3, and the postal address it should be closed. This is the creditor information. Same information it should be converted as a fully structured format. They use for the respective tag, street name, bungalow number, and postal code, town, city, like that. What are the 14 specific attribute for the structure address? Name, building name, town name, department, floor, town location name, sub department, postal box, district name, street name, and country subdivision, building number, postal code, country. So these 14 specific tags are used in structure address format. Challenging for implementing structure address. See, right now, all the corporate or financial institution, they maintain the customer details in unstructured format. If you refer that any corporate or financial institution address table, they maintain only for the town and country name properly. Remaining street, building number, and postal code, all other extra information they never maintain in properly. So that reason PMPG market guidelines raise the CR for hybrid address format. Hybrid address is a semi-structured address format. Hybrid address it should be allow for that address line also, but town name and country name are mandatory in the hybrid address. Remaining fields are not mandatory. Either remaining all the fields you mention as a address line. Each and every address line it should be the 17 character. Totally you can able to accumulate for the two lines of 17 character. Address line must not be repeated in the structure address format, because structure address format each and every values it's maintained for the separate tag. So address line should not be come for the structure address format, but unstructured address format you can able to see that address line. See what are the messages are impacted in the Swift platform. PAX 008, financial to financial institution, customer credit transfer, PAX 008 STP, PAX 009, PAX 009 cover, PAX 009 advice, PAX 002, PAX 003, PAX 004, PAX 010. These are the message affected from the PAX platforms. These are the messages affected for the pain and camped. Pain 001, pain 002, pain 008, camped 029, camped 055, camped 056, camped 057, camped 058, camped 060, camped 105, camped 106, camped 107, camped 108, camped 109. These are the message affected for the pain and camped platforms. See, here I will provide for that structure, unstructured, and hybrid address field elements. See, what are the field affected for that particular migration? Before 2025, they never ever introduced for the hybrid address format. We have only two format. One is a structure address, another one is a unstructured address. That is applicable only for that before November 2025. After November 2025 only, they implement for that hybrid address format. See, unstructured address, we don't have the value for three fields. One is a ultimate debtor, ultimate creditor, and initiating party. Remaining fields we have a value. See, before November 2025, all the fields. What are the fields affected for the structure address? That is highlighted in the green color. What are the fields affected in the unstructured address? That is highlighted in the gray fields. Same like that, after November 2020 field 25, three fields should be introduced. One is a structure, another one is a hybrid, another one is a unstructured format. So what are the field is affected for the after November 2025? That it should be highlighted from here. After November 2026, we have only two fields, two structure, only two types. One is a structure address, another one is a unstructured, another one is a hybrid address. Unstructured address is D scope for after November 2026. Here I will provide some example how the structure address should be look: street name, bungalow number, postal code, town name, country, like that. How the hybrid address it should be reflect: town name and country name is mandatory. Remaining field it should be reflect as a address line. But fully unstructured address you can able to find out only for that address line. In case the hybrid address migration is never happen, what are the problem occurring for the payment platform? See, CBPR plus or HVPS, the payment need to be mapped for the correct debtor and creditor. So that address format is required in the exact format. Otherwise, it should be failed for the screening process, or else AML, or else any other processing type. Another one, the manual amendment need to be required. If address is not maintained in the proper way, the manual amendment is required. The payment it could be reject or return. Delay should be processing because lot of value is missed out for that address fields. So additional customer investigation and counterparty bank investigation is required. So these kind of problem we need to avoid. So that reason the hybrid address migration is going on. See this example: PAX 008 hybrid address format and PAIN 001 hybrid address format. Both it should be sent for the financial institution. But creditor side, the financial institution, the migration is never completed. ISO 222 migration is never completed. On the time, these hybrid address need to be mapped against for the unstructured address. Here, PAC 008 hybrid address, it should be mapped again MT103 unstructured address format, that is we called as a MT based CSM schema 1. Another one, pain 001 ISO 222 hybrid address, it's mapped against for the PAX 008 unstructured format, that is we called as a MX based CSM, that is we called as a MX to MX unstructured migration schema 2. What is the start notes? I will tell you what are the unstructured address if you provide in the empty side that need to be convert as a F type, either the 15F or 59F. So unstructured address you can able to use until November 2026. After you cannot able to use it. Hybrid address it should be formed for that November 2025 itself. Either November 2025 hybrid address of pain 001, it should be mapped against for that unstructured address of MX format. After November 2025, all the unstructured address need to be mapped against for the hybrid address, because all the unstructured address is de-scope for that November 2026. So this guideline it should be talked about for that before hybrid address migration, after hybrid address migrations scenarios also. Mapping schema 1. This one, all the MX. See, MX is a structure format or unstructured format that it should be convert as a MT hybrid address format. In the hybrid address format, country, town name and the postal code, these three element it's maintained. Country and town name is a mandatory one that it should be mentioned as a line third. The debtor creditor hybrid address should be mapped into empty field using option F, because what are the debtor and creditor ISO address hybrid field that should be mapped against for the empty field, because all the banks never convert as a MX to MT to MX migration, it seems some banks are used for the empty message format. So in this scenario, MX message is migrate for the empty format. So all the MX hybrid address, it's migrate for that empty format address. So empty format address, the third line they mention as a country name, town name, and postal code. Remaining address line, it should become as a address line pattern. Name, it should become as a name pattern. So debtor and creditor hybrid address should be mapped into empty field using option F. Hybrid address of bank party should be mapped into empty field using option D. First, name field need to be mapped against for that empty message. After, then address line need to be mapped. Third, postal code, town name and country name should be mapped. That is the example. See this example. Vinod Kumar is a name. That name mapped against for the empty field. First, name field. After address line, it should be mapped. Third, the postal code, town name and country should be mapped. This is for the mapping schema 1. How that attribute should be mapped? This is the mapping attributes. First, you need to map as a name. After second line, you need to map as a street name, bungalow number, address line, second address line, floor, post box, room, department, sub department. In the third line, always you need to map as a town, country name, district name, like that. This way only you can able to map for that MX to MT. See, in case the long hybrid address, what will be happen? See here, address line is a too long one. Long building name, west, with pairing, like that. So what will be happen? Name, it should be mapped first name. After your long address line, it should be truncated because each and every line it should be accept only for that 17 character. So to address line it should be appear. Last line it should be come always as a country, town name and postal code. This is a standard format. Always last line it should be come as a country, town and postal code for empty format. Anyway, the hybrid address of the empty is a 15F or 59F format. See this next example. Already we will see that the long name. Suppose the customer name is as a too long. What will be happen? They mention as a 17 character for the first line. Remaining character it should become as a sorry. If the customer name is a very length, first line it should become as a 35 character. Next line it should become as a 35 character because each and every line it should be accept only for the 35 character. Two line it should become for the customer address. Third line it should become as a address line. Fourth, second it should become as a address line. Third it should become as a country, town name and postal code. Again I will tell you here the customer name is a too lengthiest one. So name it should be broken for the 35 character. First line and second line it's appear as a customer name. Address line it should become as a second line. Third it should become as a city, country, town and postal code. It should be appear as a third line in the empty format. Next you can see that here prioritization of structure and hybrid address information from MX to MX. See here it's full and full it's come as a structure address format. Name, street name, bungalow number, postal code, town name, country, address line, address line. Okay, this is for that some of the hybrid address format that it should be converted as a empty format. Name it should be appear as a name field and address line it should be appear as a second line. Third line it should be come as a country, town and postal code information. In the hybrid address, country, town is a mandatory field. Next, MX hybrid address to MX unstructured address. In case your MX is a hybrid address, another bank it should not be support for that hybrid address. Maybe it seems the migration is not done from the particular intermediary bank or opposition bank. What will happen? As long as the target MX market infrastructure does not allow using hybrid address because it seems the M2 to MX, MT to MX or MX to MX migration is not completed. Seems some banks are using for the unstructured address format. On the time, bank A given for the structured address or hybrid address, but bank B cannot able to adopt for the structure address format or hybrid address format. It seems they are using for the unstructured format. On the time, these approach should be follow. Structured address it's convert as a hybrid address. After the hybrid address, it should be convert as a unstructured address format. Both unstructured address and hybrid address they are using for the address line. In the hybrid address, it should be occur for the two address line. Each address line is a 35 character. But unstructured address, it should be apply for the three address line. Each address line have a 35 character. Only difference. Because the hybrid address, they maintain the town name and country name is a third line. Remaining address line, it should be appear. But unstructured address, they use for the three address line. Each and every address line is a 35 character. See next, MX address element of output. See address line 3, what are the elements should become? Street name, bungalow number, floor, post box number, room, department, sub department. Address in case the address line 3, if it is not filled, suppose the three address line is there. Address line 3, if it is not filled, they come for these are the information. In case address line 3 is not required, only two address line is enough for the particular customer, these should become country, town name, postal code, country subdivision, town name, district name, like that. These all the information it should become as a address line 3. These are all the information it should become as a address line 2. Address line 1 always it should become as a what are the address line it should be available for the unstructured address. The same should be tagged under the hybrid address also. See this example, you get more ideas. Prioritization of MX hybrid address to MX fully unstructured address, because the bank A it should be support for the hybrid address format, that bank B it should not be support for the hybrid address format, still they are using for the unstructured address format. Name it should be come as a name field. Another one, postal code, town name and country it should be come as a line 3. See, post town name is a Brazil, it's a Brazil, and country is a B. It's come as a line 3. Remaining address line 2, it should be come as a address line 2. So always if you think that country name, town name, and the postal code, it should be come as a address line 3. Same address line, it should be come as a address line 2. Name it should be come as a first line. So what are the unstructured structure element available in this message? Name, building name, town name, department, floor, town location name, sub department, post box, district name, street name, room, country subdivision, building number, postal code, country. These are the field available for that. Here I will see that before November 2025, after November 2025. Before November 2025, since they are using for the unstructured address format. After November 2025 up to November 2026, they are using for the unstructured format. After, all the address need to be converted as a hybrid address format. Here the corporate customer initiate for the paint 001 hybrid address format, but it's reach out for that debtor financial institution. After it's try to reach for the intermediary bank or creditor financial institution, those banks are never support for the hybrid address format, since they are supporting only for the unstructured address format. So what will be happen? This paint 001 hybrid address format, it's convert as a MT103 option F debtor or creditor address format. Pack 008 also it should be convert as a debtor and creditor address format after November 2025, because hybrid address it should be born for the November 2025 only. So corporate, they given the payment instruction to financial institution. The financial institution initiate for the pain 001 message. Here after November 2025, the hybrid address migration is completed. Either the sending bank also support for the hybrid address migration, hybrid address format, and receiving bank also support for the hybrid address format. So message it should be flow for the hybrid address format. Before November 2025, what is the issue? They given the pain hybrid address format. In case intermediary bank or creditor bank never support for the hybrid address format, that need to be converted as a unstructured format. That is we called as a mapping schema 1. MX to MT conversion is a mapping schema 1. MX to MX conversion it confirm as a mapping schema 2. So intermediary bank mapping. Suppose I will tell you originator bank they given for the hybrid address format. but intermediary bank still the migration is not completed. Again, that hybrid address need to be converted as a unstructured format. So that it should be talked about for this particular scheme. Before November 2025, the hybrid address should not be initiated. So MT101 unstructured address, it should be flow as a MT103 unstructured address only. After November 2025, hybrid address it should be formed because the unstructured address it should be decode for that November 2026 PAX 008 hybrid address. It's come for the financial institution that it should be convert as a MT103 option F and PAX 008 unstructured format because here before November 2025. So unstructured address also scope in this particular period. So whenever the transaction is initiated for the hybrid address format, intermediary bank or creditor bank, they never support for the hybrid address format. Still they are supporting for the unstructured format. That hybrid address it should be converted as a MT unstructured or MX unstructured address format. In case that is a MT unstructured format, we call it as a schema 1 mapping. MX unstructured format, we call it as a schema 2 mapping. See this after November 2025. Okay, these are the before November 2025. After November 2025, what is the advantage? Because after November 2025, the unstructured address is descoped. Every bank it should be used for either the hybrid address or structured address. So PAX 008 it's flow from the financial institution to A to financial institution B. A financial institution also used for the hybrid address. B financial institution also used for the hybrid address. Same like that MT series, it should be raised for the bank A in F format, either the 15F or 59F format, that it should be converted as a pack 008 for another bank, intermediate or creditor bank in the hybrid address format. So without this hybrid address migration, what are the problems should be happen? All the unstructured address cannot able to convert directly to the structured address. That is the one major reason. Another one, lot of manual intervention should be happen in case the hybrid address migration is not follow. AML screening and the KYC screening and a lot of payment processing validation it should be failed. Delay it should be processed for that sender and receiver side, and may operation risk should be involved. Lot of manual intervention process should be appear in this kind of process. So these all need to be avoided. So that reason PMPG market practice guidelines raise the CR for hybrid address format. Thanks for watching this channel. Kindly subscribe my channel.